Hey everybody, welcome back to Rink's Garage. Today we got the '05 Silverado in the shop to do some front end work. She needs brakes, rotors, and probably both wheel bearings. She's been making a little growling noise going down the road, and I know the brakes were low, so I was going to do that. So we got her jacked up. Check this out. It's not supposed to do that. Let's get her fixed. So this is not too big of a job. Anybody can do it out in their driveway or in their garage. So I'll throw up a list of all the tools you're going to need and we'll get started on it. So first thing we got to do obviously is jack the wheel up. Throw a jack stand under there so she don't fall on you. Then we'll pull the wheel off. My lug nuts are 19 millimeter. I think the stock ones are 22, something like that. It all depends. This one's got some aftermarket rims on it, so it's a little different, but we'll rip them off and see what we got going on. Like I said, this one was making a pretty good noise going down the road. Had a little howl to it, and when you turned, she really started growling. So it's excessively loose. So first thing we gotta do, pop the brake caliper off and the brake caliper bracket so we can remove the rotor, and then we'll get to pulling that wheel bearing off. But back here you got a 19 millimeter, two of them, one on each side. So we'll pull them out, and then the bracket is 18 millimeter, and there's two of them too. So we'll pull them off with the impact wrench if we can get her on there and see what happens. So now we can pop the caliper off. Set that up on top of the A-arm. Take our brake pads out. Now we can take the bolts out of the caliper bracket with our 18 millimeter. This one you're going to want to use a breaker bar or a socket wrench. The bottom one kind of can get a impact on, but the top one you can't. Crack them both loose and line them out. Whoops. After you get that bracket off, we can just slide the rotor off. Now the next thing we got to do is take this wheel nut off, and that's going to be a 35 millimeter socket. And spray a little WD-40 on her. Sometimes these will come off with an impact. Sometimes you might have to use a breaker bar to snap it loose. So we'll see. That one come right off. So that's good. So now that we got our wheel nut off, we got to go and take the 3 bolts that hold the wheel bearing in. We also got a ABS wire. It's got some plastic clips on it, and then up above here there's a connector so you can unplug it, and the new wheel bearing should come with that on. So I'll get these popped out and we'll get him off there. So now we'll take some WD, soak these 3 bolts. These are going to be the trickiest ones to get out because you got to use a wrench to get on them. Get them cracked loose, so I like to take my 15mm wrench, soft blow, get them all broke loose. These ones actually aren't too bad. Sometimes they can be quite the buggers. Like this one is. There she comes. Oh. So we can line them 3 bolts out, and then we should be able to see if we can get our bearing out. So especially here in Minnesota, this gets pretty rusty, so it's just rusted together, so you may need a oh boy. Check out that bearing. She was pretty close to just coming apart, I think. But we'll keep hammering on her. She did move somewhat. Makes it worse because my bearing is so loose and coming apart that actually we could have lost the wheel pretty easily if it came the rest of the way apart. She does not want to give up. So we might have to get a chisel. So in the case the hammers don't work, another good tool to have on hand is an air chisel. Safety glasses are approved for this. See if we can get her broke loose without breaking the backing plate. There we go. And that is what a very bad wheel bearing looks like. So, take our backing plate off, and we're going to want to take some Scotch-Brite or emery cloth, clean up the inside of this, clean up our splines good, the wire brush, and then we'll be ready for the new one. So I got everything cleaned up, so this will go back on good. We got the new wheel bearing. Just want to make sure we clock it the same with the ABS sensor, and make sure we put our backing plate on at the same time. Get her lined up on the splines and get a bolt started. And then we can put the other 2 bolts in and we'll get them tightened down. So now after we get our 3 bolts tightened back up, we can put the wheel nut back on. This bearing came with a new one. And then we can route our ABS wire. This one is nice, came with new clips and everything, so you just stick it back on. Alright, new bearing is installed. Now we can go about putting the brakes back together. So, first thing we can do, stick our new rotor on. The old rotors were not horrible, but pretty rusty. There's pretty good grooves in them. So we're just going to stick new ones on. Then put our caliper bracket back on. Now we got our caliper bracket on, we can stick our brake pads in. And you can switch out the carriers if they're rusty. The new pads do come with new ones. These ones look just fine, so I'm just going to leave them in there. So now we can stick our caliper back on. The bolt started in there. And now we're ready to put the wheel back on. And there you go. That's a lot better. Well, there it is. Finished up, ready to go. I am glad this thing didn't come apart on me on the road, but it didn't feel that bad. I knew it was bad, but anyway, there is a couple different wheel bearings you can get. They got some cheaper versions and then the spendy one. I threw the spendy one in just because it's got a lifetime warranty, so keep the box and the receipt, and if one ever goes out again, it's free. So, but you can get them for dirt cheap off the internet if you don't mind putting them in. I've tried them before. Some will last forever, some last 2 months. So that's totally up to you, but that's gonna do it for this job. I gotta take care of the other side, and hopefully that one's not that bad. But thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.